The artist landscape. What is this? And why are we there? Is this the landscape or the landscaping? It's basically this vision that we are our creation. And what we use to create is often the dignity of who we are. I'm touched by your generosity, is where many are with me. I'm very generous with my wisdom. What I'm not telling you is that there is a lot of work that goes into the production of this. So I do want to apologize for those of you who may have wanted to catch me on the other side. There are 5 or 6 souls who I deal with all the time in my life, who I create with for the most part. There are many of you who have your souls on the line. Okay, this is a creative vision. And some of you are thinking, oh my gosh, this woman is already receiving all these words of wisdom, and it's only been how many years? It's been years in the making. Okay, so this isn't about telling people or promising people that if you join my group or if you buy something from me that you're just going to become this enlightened soul. I think we're more realistic in the idea of what it is to be a soul. This is about loving ourselves every step of the way. We create our beauty. We're not denied that by our souls. Others will tell us different, assuming that they've somehow hit their zenith moment in whatever vision of guidance they bring through. Now, does that mean that it's going to produce the most amazing life ever? It depends. We co-create. But when we align with our soul, right? This is the difference between someone like me who has hit the zenith of their own soul. And when I say that I'm still in the vision of love of all, but I'm not there yet. I am not the risen celebrity star that can go out and just tell people with all honest intentions, I love you for who you are, right? They're loved for who they are as souls. I love you because you are here. Do I agree with everything that you say or do? That's not who I am. So this ability for me to disconnect enough when I do a soul session is very much, it's like a progress. It's a work in progress to do soul work. And that's what happens is when I bring through the collective vision, that can be very tricky sometimes depending on what realms I'm working with. Now, what that means is interpersonal relationships are also part of this artist landscape. I got denied the vision of love of all if I can't tell everyone what. They're accepted, loved, and adored by their own soul every moment of every day. That's the beauty of it. But to say there are no issues on this plane is to deny the reality. It's an issue if we create it and make it an issue. That's the highest level of love. How many of us are saying, but I want to make a difference? And I want to push forth past the conditioning of my family, saying that I have to accept their value system as my own. Other than that's the nature of love, and it's like the duality of soul, right? That's what others are also working with, that duality of good, bad. It's not like that, okay? But this artist rendition of love of all is very much in honor of your soul for who you are in every way. When you are with your vision of your soul, I may look out into the world. I will go and look into the world and I will say, there are issues that I don't necessarily agree with, right? Or that I see as something I want to place my focus on. How many people can say they don't have any values? That gets unwound very easily. The question is, am I projecting a condition upon someone that they somehow identify with? Do you identify as something? This is the process that I go through. There is literally only one thing that a couple things. I still identify as female in my mind and in my wisdom. But I do hear from those male versions of who I think I am, believe it or not. This is one of those things that people are going to start to understand about. We are arriving on this plane of spiraling up. My identity is very loose, is what many are going to start to realize when it comes to the idea of who I am. I utilize a tool of friendship most often. I come to you in friendship. If I say to you that we can agree to disagree, is that a problem? That's where we're having a lot of issues, right? In society. I can tend to go to that idea. Okay? I'm the kind-hearted soul who gets trampled on by many. Because it's not purported to be the way forward for so many. But in my own infinite wisdom, my value system says how we make the changes is just important as what changes we make. How we do them is absolutely important. But I honor those who have different ways of doing what needs to be done. I also know the vision. I am an artistry in form. I know my value system is in place. And I grant that to each of you. Some of us are here to do destruction. And when I say some of us, I'm not saying that that's me, but it can be labeled as that. Some people will say your mindset is of the weaponizing of soul. Or is it more about the enlightening of who we are? You see, this is what is the hardest part sometimes, is we have those ideas that we're supposed to take everything and look at it to the nth degree and see what is it that's causing us our shame or guilt or blame. I'm very much aware of my own emotional impact on who I am, is where Brenda is. I own my soul. And what that means is it's more like I am that vision of love, of my matter, my vision of I matter. I matter. I'm creating this. You matter. You're creating you. We're having this exchange of dialogue. And I want to go into that idea of how are we influencing each other? How are we creating together? You see, in my mind, I'm trying to create from this place of magic, mystery, and wonder. How many people know that then what my soul brings to me sometimes is this idea of pain points? I had a pain point moment with my grandmother who was on the other side of the veil. I am soul, so I know what that is. We're having dialogues with other souls. And it was a simple tantrum that I threw, in essence. Even where I am, it was a heartbreak moment for my own soul. Because I created from a place of I'm a victim of my grandmother's vision of apology, believe it or not. I'm going to be honest with you. Because in my mind, I already knew why it was done. I already knew why everything that the family tree did in this idea of favoritism, I knew where it was. I saw it and I explored it. And it came back to visit me. That's me trying to release the vision that I'm a victim of it. How about that for honesty? Right? So it's not about saying that you just walk among the plains and you're always in this magic moment. But you can be, okay? And I create my own havoc, and that's what I want others to understand, is that when you go through this process, you can build the beautiful lives that you are. You can amaze yourself with the discovery of who you are. You can blow your vision up to one of, look at me, I'm so wonderful, right? Versus the idolization of who I am. Please don't ever feel like you need to idolize me or anything that I do. I give it from my heart because I know what it's like to go through this process and to still feel like there's something not quite right sometimes. Okay? It's not about it not being right. It's about, oh, I'm back there in that vision. Something's not quite right. I gotta go research it, right? I don't research stuff. I know I'm on the vision of not recreating trauma. See, a lot of people are saying we have to go look at our trauma and then, keep digging. It's a pain point. That's a difference. So for me, I was not in the field of trauma, but I did have a pain point. This is going to be part of my program as well. I'm going to be honest with you. I am on that vision of working through that program to bring down the wisdom that people are going to be able to imbibe upon. It's not going to be for free, I can tell you that. But I will give you hints about what this kind of stuff does. How many people are assuming that the well-known leaders in the vision of self-help and self-love are actually recreating the pain points for us over and over and over again? Hallelujah, right? We don't have to do that work. We don't have to keep creating pain in order to release ourselves from it. Many of us are conditioned to look back in order to free ourselves versus my day is anew and I'm creating from a place of love and joy in this moment. Do you want to start off that way every day? Versus what other family member do I need to deal with on the soul level that has, something that they want to say or some beef or whatnot, right? It's not a beef. It's usually those ideas of reconciliation that I go through. But it's also very much of am I being forced into something? Do I feel obligated to make amends? We want to encourage everyone to create with this sensory experience of who you are. Feel into your body. Does this feel like me? Does this feel like the real me? The real Brenda, for instance, right? I'm known by many names in other realms, but this is who I'm portraying myself to be here. I am all that and more. Now, what this means is that I don't just vibrate in one vision or another. So I can tap into the nature of the highest vision of who I am, which doesn't allow for people to come in and say there's something wrong with who you are because you didn't somehow connect with me on this plane in the way in which I wanted you to feel about me. Now, I'm going to give you a word of advice. It's not to always take everything I say seriously. Okay? So let's recreate the drama is where Brenda goes often with these visions, right? This is the vision of drama. This is the vision of joy. This is the vision of discovery. This is the vision of who I am. And I want to honor you for your visions. Many are judging my physical being as to where I am in my spiritual journey. I'm not all there, right? Oh, you wouldn't be doing this, that, or whatnot if you were in the highest realms of love. It's a vibrational frequency, people. It's not a location. Okay? That's what people are thinking. Oh, you didn't get there because you didn't feel this way, or you didn't sound like this, or you didn't say these words that are the trigger words of love for me. You see, that's what people are thinking they need. I need to be of the absolute high. Why? What is it in grounding ourselves in the beauty of who we are here versus this idea that I have to be of, the spiritually awakened, enlightened, and whatnot, right? That feels good, by the way. That's where I'm at in a lot of ways. But I honor the reality and the work and the wisdom that we're bringing through by everyone who's out doing their work, right? Their joy. This is why we're trying to plant and expand that vision of we don't need to do soul work so much anymore. We can expand it to the nature of love of self, which is already granted to us. I love myself enough to set everyone else free from me. How about that? Do I bog myself down with drama about people's lives in the afterlife now? Brenda was like, I'm tired of walking on eggshells with my thoughts. Do you know how many people are going to go through that and say, yeah, I did that too? My thoughts were creating problems on some other realm for someone else that I knew, right? I'm not kidding you guys. People, this is how people get lost in it. Okay, you can get lost in that idea of I've got to make amends to everybody from every realm that I created in. That doesn't work because all those realms are separate identities creating from the vastness of who we are. So what we're working with is this beauty right here. This is my beauty. This is my strength, and this is my wisdom. And I want you to reflect on the beauty of who you are and say to yourself those words. Why am I worried about the afterlife? Why am I worried? Is it because those visions that were it's like ringing in my ear? I used to bring forth the visions of disaster, and people were thinking it was somehow placing me in some lower realm. Do you know what it's like to hear their souls from those highest levels of love? And yet in my vision, I was like going, but people are getting hurt here. People are getting hurt here. It's only in an effort to tell people there's always beauty on the other side of the veil. Okay? You can get there. It has nothing to do with any one book. Okay? It can be your book that helps to lift you up. But the nature of it is to free ourselves from those ideas that limit who we are here. And maybe our expressions are beautiful in various ideas about who we create with or what we create with. But I'm telling you, as who I am, I take off as much as I can that is of limitation for me. And I get to determine what's limiting to me. It's only if you feel it as a limitation that then you need to go look for the limitation. Let's put it that way. Now, when I say that I imbibe upon the strength of who I am, it means my soul knows where that goes. We're going to the ecstatic state. It's the origin of the species, right? I could bring through Darwin for you, and he could talk about the evolutionary visions that he himself had that are now being disregarded as less than. And this is that nature of let's honor everyone where they were. They're already creating outside of the vision of who they were here. So why are we not granting ourselves that vision that all is well? Okay? And that's what most are wanting. They just want to be free from the vision of condemnation. So why are we condemning ourselves in the name of somebody else? They lift themselves up out of that vision of projection. But yet we keep creating that with them. But it's like the expansion of the mindset for most. This is what they're saying. They're like, well, you're expanding the mind of evolution. She deals with geniuses in her heart. Her mind can run amok sometimes. That's her soul telling you she's got some business to deal with Darwin. But the evolution of the species is very much of a cohesive unit of energy. It's a unit of creation that is more about the planetary alignment, right? This is another vision that watches Brenda and is more about the planetary alignment of expansion of the Genesis vision that's going to come through for someone Brenda knows. You see, she has people in her family who are in that vision of religious inspiration as well. And that's that nature of being able to do that vision and expand upon the awareness of what these visions were or are. because many are not exactly aligned with the vision of spiritual enlightenment, which is where Brenda tended to align. She's more of the enlightenment, which means I try to take off visions that aren't who I actually am. I don't try to place someone else's vision as higher than my own. I honor you as equals wherever you land. It's just a shifting of the energy. We either shift in or out of love, right? It's all love. It's just about what feels right for us. So I want you guys to think of yourselves as beautiful where you are. And then when you feel your body and you go into that vision of, does this feel right for me? Does this feel right for me? Should I be idolizing someone else above my own self? Does that ring true for you? And then we wonder why we go through these processes of like, oh, I need to learn about self-love and I need to do this and I need to get, someone else's love from outside of me in order to feel it within. It's an internal landscape that we're working with. My internal landscape is what creates my external reality. That's the beauty of the artist within. That's your soul's vision coming through. My wisdom it's like being withheld is where so many are because they're feeling shut down due to the nature of projections of so many on the internet or society saying, I can't be who I want to be because my internal wisdom says that I am here and I matter. And I'm being told I don't matter. You are of love and of dexterity and of wisdom. Rise out of the vision of I don't matter. And then when you see that vision and how you feel about who you are, right? This is why some people will assume the way that they do it is the way that others need to do it. You'll find your own paths of glory, guaranteed. And I don't mean that in any sort of sense other than the vision of victory for who you are as a soul when you rise out of the vision of I am of love of all. Most people are not actually rising out of that. They are all of it. They just don't know it. It's the nature of soul beings that create with that vision thinking it's all that and more. We want you to rise into the vision of, I love who I am. And then when you do that vision, it feels beautiful for everybody. But it can't be achieved for the majority of souls because in essence, it's a mental construct that people are working with versus the, I feel it in my whole being. Okay? And that's where my own soul was having that issue. Was like my grandmother was saying, I know you're not feeling it in the body. You're disconnected from the vision of your love. And it's like, that's a projection of what her vision of love was for her. I didn't feel it in my mind. Brenda's like, I know it's there. I know how to do that vision. I love it when I can tap into it. I know I'm not always in that vibration of it. I'm honoring you guys by telling you the truth. Okay, some people walk the walk. That's your soul. This is why my focus is aligning people with the vision of who they are in and of their own soul's vision first and foremost. Not I need to go plant the seeds for someone else's vision to be higher than mine. Now, inspiration is found in many a soul, and yet, what does that say about you? Inspiring yourself to be. Inspiring yourself into your hearts. Inspiring my mind to clear the path for freedom from others. It's idol worship. See, people will say to themselves, this is why we get demeaned, because we honor ourselves and people say, oh no, that's somehow bad. Or you're being selfish, or you're being arrogant, or you're being self-centered. And that's the nature of looking in and saying we are aligning with who we are as souls. Why would we not? If we want to go out and spread the joy, spread the joy. If you want to spread the wisdom, spread the wisdom. If you have other visions that your soul is sent here to do you understand why there's no one message that is going to align with every single soul? Because some souls are here to rise up in the vision of, I've got to do destruction in order to move this situation forward for us to see. It is a soul vision. This is why people can't project that idea that we all have to be doing the same thing in the same way. And I know the majority of the people here that would watch me know that. But there are a lot of people who are trying to force that idea onto others that we all have to be, self-centered, right? That's a loving vision. If you're in the vision of I'm always living my life for other people, to come into yourself, that's called self-care or self-love. And it's always that idea of, I'm worthy of focusing on me. I'm worthy of focusing on me. How many are feeling guilted or, for focusing on who they are, for focusing on their lives, for taking time out of the rat race to do an internal search for the beauty of who they are without the conditioning of others coming in and telling them there's something wrong with that. I grant you the freedom to find yourselves in whatever way you are, right? You aren't lost. It's literally taking a break from others' visions. And we can say, yes, I understand that's beautiful. And yes, I understand that's beautiful. But that's what happens to a lot of people. They're looking for something that's inherently within. And we're looking outside of ourselves and going, well, wait, where is it that that's to be found? That inner comfort, that inner love, that inner joy, that inner discovery. That's the discovery process. We want you to have the adventure of soul, the adventure of discovery, the joy of discovery, the joy of who you are, whether or not you know what that is or not. Do you know what joy is for most? You see, this is another prospect vision. We're going to go digging for joy. What does that mean? Maybe I'm in the process of discovering myself as I am through the process of divorce, right? And I still have the joy within. See, my life doesn't have to be dictated by my circumstances in order for me to find the happiness as well. Does it mean I vibrate in that always? No. And this is not one of those ideas of like, oh, I'm really happy to get rid of, some person in my life. That is not it at all. We're the best of friends. We honor each other and care for each other and love each other dearly. We're just splitting the vision into a friendship. Okay, we were friends from the start, and we will continue to create that way. I don't do things the way society tells me I supposedly need to. Now, when you do that vision of love of self, that's when you start to open up to the nature of, okay, I can freely create. I don't have to feel ashamed of who I am. I don't have to feel guilty for who I am. I don't have to listen to society telling me that there's something wrong with who I am. And when we do that vision, we also have to look at others, right? You will have a tendency to look at others and find that field of dreams for others. I want to create with you because you highlight the beauty of who I am rather than the dictators who say that I must be a certain way in order to be accepted or loved or cherished. This is our lesson for you. Take it as you wish. Does it highlight any feelings? If you have any feelings of rejection, that is on you to say to yourself, I just don't align. It's a vibrational shift that many are going through. And it's okay if you find yourself on either side of those issues. It's not a side. It's just about what's happening. Okay? And those ideas of needing to be something that somebody else wants you to be is what's holding you back. It's holding you back from being the most that you can be about who you are, where you are. So this is a nature of self-acceptance. It's not a bad. So that's why everyone's like in this rush to arrive to some zenith moment. That's another vision of what I'm bringing through. It's not about rushing the process. It's about looking out for each other while we are going through this process, because it's a collective vision of love and understanding. And hopefully we can get to that place where we can joyfully create with each other. And the mysterious wonderland that I often inhabit is often sometimes my terror zone. I'm going to be honest, because I also go to those visions of the unknown. I find myself there sometimes, but it's okay because I always land on my feet. We're going to hear someone's about the Goo Goo Dolls. That's a nature of a band. Brenda doesn't even know any of their songs, most likely, or maybe she's heard them. Someone here is a fan of the Goo Goo Dolls. You're being acknowledged. Your Vanity Fair articles coming through as well. There's someone who's on the issue of Vanity Fair, and their vision is we're all that and more. They have the confidence, the ability to rocket to the next level of understanding. When you understand that their souls, as them, are creating with those souls who are also very big fans, you'll understand why they come into the picture. You're being honored by all souls who say that so many souls align themselves with bands or fans, and they get demeaned by the, quote, religious right. That's where there was someone that was saying, no, it's not about that. But this is that idea of what's happening is we're outside of the idea of we even need to speak about that vision. They're trying to create with that vision of it's not about religious indoctrination. It's the idea of we create from a place of our unity in what we want. We create from this place of joy of each other. And many will say we align with the vision of the music that we enjoy or the music that we imbibe upon, okay? And so we want everyone to understand that it's not a condemnation of anyone's soul, but it's the nature of why so many are feeling constrained in their being, because they're not aligning with just one set of standards or one set of, rules or guides or whatnot. Everyone's saying this is what you should do, or maybe you should do this or that. This is when your own soul will come in and say, I can tell you what's going on and why. And that's what Brenda deals with. And sometimes it's kind of hard to hear because it's a humbling process for her when she's in her, I'm in the serious mode. Okay, they wanted her to sit there and go high and just vibrate in the beauty of the Goo Goo Dolls. And that's a gift to someone on the screen. So with that in mind, I want to say thank you for watching. Create your landscape. You're beautiful. It's this beauty that you are, right? When we're talking, this is you doing this to you. You look at your inner landscape and create whatever it is that you want. Okay, your souls will acknowledge you as beautiful always. They will always say, I know what's going on. I know what's going on. Your souls know what's going on. They know what's going on, and they love you for it. Whatever is happening, you're being acknowledged and enjoyed. Okay, there's a breast cancer substitute coming through. Okay. So that's the nature of Brenda's joy of understanding that she's getting messages of future as well. Okay, so that's a different kind of segue. And so we're going to go ahead and just align with the idea of keeping this short. I want to say thank you for watching, and I want you to remember, stay curious, wise, and soulful. Have an amazing day.